Before we begin, I want you to do something simple. Swallow once, just once. Then pay attention to the back of your throat. Do you feel something there? A thick sensation? A coating that refuses to disappear no matter how often you clear your throat? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many people clear their throat dozens of times every day without realizing it. If I asked you when it started, you might struggle to remember. It didn't arrive overnight. At first, it happened only in the mornings. Then it started showing up throughout the day. Eventually, it became so normal that you stopped questioning it. Now you carry water wherever you go. You avoid certain foods. You've tried herbal remedies, home treatments, and every suggestion friends and family could offer, yet the mucus remains. Here's what you need to understand. Persistent throat mucus is rarely random. Your body doesn't create symptoms without a reason. Every ongoing symptom is a message. The challenge is learning how to interpret that message correctly. Over the years, I've worked with many older adults dealing with chronic throat mucus, and I've seen one mistake repeated again and again. People focus on the mucus itself instead of asking why their body is producing it in the first place. They're given throat lozenges, they're told to drink more water, sometimes they're reassured that it's simply part of getting older, but the real cause often remains hidden. Today, we're going to uncover some of the most common reasons why persistent throat mucus develops after age 55 and why certain causes frequently work together, making symptoms much worse than they need to be. First, let's understand something important. Your body produces mucus every single day, 24 hours a day. That's completely normal. In fact, mucus plays a vital role in protecting your health. It traps dust, bacteria, viruses, and other particles before they can reach your lungs. It keeps the tissues inside your airways moist and healthy. The problem isn't mucus itself. The problem is what happens to mucus as we age. Inside your airways are millions of tiny hair-like structures called cilia. Their job is to constantly sweep mucus upward and out of the respiratory tract. When we're younger, this system works efficiently. Mucus is produced and cleared almost immediately. As we get older, however, these cilia become less effective. They move more slowly and clear mucus less efficiently. As a result, mucus that once disappeared quickly can linger for hours. This means even small increases in mucus production can become much more noticeable later in life. One of the most overlooked causes is something called silent reflux. Most people think acid reflux always causes heartburn. In reality, many people experience reflux without any burning sensation at all. A small amount of stomach acid travels upward during the night and reaches the throat. Because the throat is far more sensitive than the stomach, even tiny amounts of acid can trigger irritation. Your body responds by producing extra mucus as a protective coating. The result? You wake up every morning feeling like something is stuck in your throat. You clear your throat repeatedly. Your voice may sound rough or hoarse when you first wake up. Because there is no heartburn, many people never suspect reflux is involved. Another common contributor is postnasal drip. This occurs when the sinuses produce excess mucus that slowly drains down the back of the throat. Unlike an obvious sinus infection, chronic postnasal drip may cause no facial pain, no severe congestion, and no major discomfort. The only symptom may be a constant sensation of mucus collecting in the throat. Many people reach for antihistamines, but while these may temporarily dry secretions, they don't always address the underlying inflammation causing the problem. Research consistently shows that regular saline nasal rinsing can help remove mucus, reduce inflammation, and support the natural clearing mechanisms of the nose and sinuses. A third possibility involves medications. Certain blood pressure medications known as ACE inhibitors are well known for causing throat irritation and chronic throat clearing in some individuals. This side effect can develop weeks or even months after starting the medication, which makes the connection easy to miss. Many people spend months searching for answers without ever realizing their medication could be contributing to the problem. Hydration also plays a larger role than most people realize. Mucus is primarily composed of water. When your body lacks adequate hydration, mucus becomes thicker, stickier, and more difficult to clear. The challenge is that our sense of thirst becomes less reliable with age. You can be mildly dehydrated without feeling thirsty at all. As a result, mucus becomes more concentrated and more noticeable, especially first thing in the morning. And then there's a factor many people never consider: gut health. Emerging research has revealed a powerful connection between the gut and the respiratory system, often referred to as the gut-lung axis. The balance of bacteria living in the digestive tract influences inflammation throughout the body, including the airways. When the gut microbiome becomes disrupted by poor diet, repeated antibiotic use, excessive sugar intake, or chronic stress, inflammatory signals can increase mucus production in the respiratory tract. In other words, the problem may not start in the throat at all. It may begin much deeper within the body. The important thing to remember is that persistent throat mucus usually has more than one contributing factor. For many adults, silent reflux and dehydration occur together. Others experience a combination of postnasal drip and reflux. Some have medication-related irritation layered on top of age-related changes in mucus clearance. This is why quick fixes rarely work. Real improvement comes from identifying the underlying causes and addressing them consistently. There are several simple steps you can begin immediately. Avoid eating within 3 hours of bedtime. Keep your head slightly elevated while sleeping. Start the day with 1 or 2 glasses of warm water. Consider using a saline nasal rinse regularly. Review your medications with your healthcare provider. Support gut health with fiber-rich foods and fermented foods such as yogurt, kefir, or sauerkraut. Most importantly, stay consistent. Small daily actions often produce far greater results than occasional aggressive treatments. And while persistent throat mucus is usually harmless, certain symptoms should never be ignored. If you notice blood in the mucus, difficulty swallowing, unexplained weight loss, a lump in the neck, or ongoing changes in your voice, seek medical evaluation promptly. Your body is always communicating with you. The goal isn't to silence the symptom. The goal is to understand the message behind it. Once you do that, lasting improvement becomes much more achievable. Now let's talk about some of the remedies people swear by, because this is where a lot of confusion begins. Someone tells you to drink lemon water. Someone else says lemon makes it worse. One friend insists on honey. Another recommends ginger. Before long, you've collected 10 different remedies and no clear answers. The truth is that most home remedies are not universally good or bad. Their effectiveness depends entirely on what is causing your mucus in the first place. Take lemon water, for example. If your mucus is primarily related to dehydration or mild congestion, warm lemon water may help loosen secretions and encourage swallowing. But if silent reflux is the underlying problem, the acidity can sometimes make symptoms worse. The same applies to peppermint. Many people find peppermint soothing, but research shows it can relax the valve between the stomach and esophagus, potentially increasing reflux in sensitive individuals. This is why understanding the cause matters more than chasing remedies. I often ask people a simple question: when during the day is your throat at its worst? If your answer is first thing in the morning, I immediately think about nighttime reflux, dehydration, mouth breathing during sleep, or postnasal drainage. If your answer is after meals, reflux becomes even more likely. If it remains equally bothersome throughout the entire day, chronic sinus inflammation, environmental irritants, medications, or underlying airway inflammation move higher on the list. Your symptom pattern contains clues. Your body is constantly providing information if you know where to look. Another factor that deserves attention is indoor air quality. Many older adults spend a significant amount of time indoors, especially during colder months or periods of extreme heat. Unfortunately, indoor air is often much drier than people realize. Air conditioning systems, heating systems, dust accumulation, cleaning chemicals, scented candles, and air fresheners can all irritate the delicate lining of the throat and airways. When those tissues become irritated, your body's natural response is simple: produce more mucus. It's a protective mechanism. The irony is that many products marketed as making a home smell cleaner or fresher may actually be aggravating respiratory symptoms. If you wake up with a dry mouth, irritated throat, or excessive mucus every morning, take a moment to consider your sleeping environment. Is the air unusually dry? Do you sleep with a fan blowing directly toward your face? Do you snore? Do you wake up breathing through your mouth? These details matter far more than most people realize. Let's talk about mouth breathing for a moment, because it is incredibly common. Your nose was designed to filter, humidify, and warm the air before it reaches your lungs. When you breathe through your mouth, especially throughout the night, that protective process is bypassed. The tissues in your throat become dry and irritated. Your body responds by producing thicker mucus to compensate. Many people spend years treating throat symptoms without ever realizing that poor nasal breathing during sleep is playing a major role. Sometimes the issue is congestion. Sometimes it is a deviated septum. Sometimes it is sleep apnea. And that brings us to something important. If you snore heavily, wake up tired despite a full night's sleep, struggle with daytime fatigue, or have been told that you stop breathing during sleep, those symptoms deserve medical attention. Sleep apnea affects millions of adults and becomes increasingly common with age. Besides impacting heart health, blood pressure, and energy levels, it can also contribute to chronic throat irritation and excessive mucus production. Another overlooked factor is frequent throat clearing itself. This may sound surprising. Many people believe throat clearing removes mucus and solves the problem. In reality, repeated throat clearing often creates more irritation. Each forceful clearing causes the vocal cords and surrounding tissues to collide. Over time, this repeated friction creates inflammation. Inflamed tissues produce more mucus leads to more throat clearing creates more inflammation, and before long you've entered a cycle that feeds itself. The sensation becomes so automatic that many people clear their throat without even realizing they are doing it. Breaking that cycle can make a noticeable difference. Instead of clearing forcefully, try taking a sip of water, swallowing gently, or performing a soft cough. These alternatives place less stress on the throat while still helping manage the sensation. One of the biggest misconceptions I encounter is the belief that thick mucus always means infection. In most cases, chronic mucus without fever, severe illness, or significant worsening over time is not caused by an infection at all. It's usually the result of inflammation, irritation, reflux, dehydration, or changes in mucus clearance. That's actually encouraging news because those causes are often manageable once identified. I've seen people struggle for years with symptoms that improve significantly after making only a few targeted changes. Not overnight, not with a miracle cure, but gradually and steadily. The body has an incredible ability to recover when we remove the factors that keep aggravating it. That's why I encourage people not to focus solely on getting rid of the mucus. Instead, focus on creating conditions that allow the body to stop producing excess mucus in the first place. Support hydration, protect your sleep, reduce reflux triggers, address chronic sinus inflammation, review medications, support gut health, improve indoor air quality. These steps may seem simple, but they target the biological processes driving the symptom rather than merely masking it. And perhaps most importantly, be patient with yourself. If this problem developed gradually over months or years, it is unrealistic to expect it to disappear in a day or two. Your body needs time. The goal isn't perfection tomorrow morning. The goal is measurable improvement over the coming weeks and months. Because when you understand what your body is trying to tell you, you stop fighting the symptom and start working with your biology instead of against it. And that is where real, lasting progress begins. There is one more piece of this puzzle that I think deserves far more attention than it gets: stress. Now, before you dismiss this and think I'm saying your symptoms are all in your head, that's not what I'm saying at all. The mucus is real. The irritation is real. The constant need to clear your throat is absolutely real. But stress changes how your entire body functions. When you're under chronic stress, your nervous system remains in a heightened state of alert. Digestion slows down, inflammation increases, sleep quality declines, reflux becomes more common, breathing patterns change. All of these factors can indirectly contribute to throat symptoms. Have you ever noticed that some days your throat barely bothers you and on other days it feels impossible to ignore? The difference is not always physical exposure. Sometimes it's the state of your nervous system. Research continues to show that chronic stress can amplify physical symptoms throughout the body, making sensations feel stronger, more frequent, and more disruptive. This doesn't mean stress created the problem. It means stress may be pouring fuel onto an existing fire. Another question I often ask people is this: how often do you actually breathe through your nose during the day? Most people have never thought about it. Take a moment right now. Are your lips closed? Is your tongue resting against the roof of your mouth? Are you breathing quietly through your nose? Or is your mouth hanging slightly open? Many adults spend years breathing inefficiently without realizing it. Mouth breathing dries tissues. Dry tissues trigger mucus production. Mucus triggers throat clearing, and the cycle continues. Something as simple as becoming more aware of nasal breathing throughout the day can produce surprising benefits over time. Let's also discuss food because many people focus on what they should add while ignoring what may be aggravating the problem every day. Certain foods commonly trigger excess mucus sensations or reflux symptoms in susceptible individuals. Highly processed foods, large evening meals, fried foods, excessive sugar, alcohol, very spicy meals, and for some individuals, large amounts of dairy products. Now, despite what you may have heard, dairy does not automatically create mucus in everyone. The science on that is far more nuanced than many people realize. However, dairy can make mucus feel thicker in certain individuals, creating the perception of increased mucus even when production hasn't changed significantly. The only reliable way to know whether a food affects you is to observe your own body's response. Keep a simple notebook. Write down what you eat. Note when symptoms worsen. Patterns often appear much faster than people expect. And once you identify a trigger, you gain something incredibly valuable: control, because you can finally stop guessing. I also want to talk about something many people overlook because it seems unrelated: physical activity. When you move your body, circulation improves, breathing becomes deeper, the respiratory system clears secretions more effectively. Studies consistently show that regular physical activity supports respiratory health in numerous ways. This doesn't mean you need intense workouts. A daily walk is enough. Even 20 to 30 minutes of movement can support mucus clearance mechanisms that naturally become less efficient with age. Think about what happens when you sit still for hours. Everything slows down. Now think about how your body feels after a brisk walk. Breathing feels easier, your chest feels more open, you swallow more naturally. Movement is medicine in ways we often underestimate. And here's something I want you to remember if you've been dealing with this issue for a long time. Please don't accept it's just aging as the final answer. Yes, aging changes the body. Yes, mucus clearance becomes less efficient. Yes, tissues become more sensitive. But aging alone rarely explains persistent symptoms. There is almost always an underlying reason, a contributing factor, a trigger, a combination of influences that can be identified and improved. I've met people who lived with chronic throat mucus for 10 years before discovering it was silent reflux. Others learned that a medication adjustment solved a problem they had struggled with for months. Some found relief after addressing chronic sinus inflammation. Others noticed dramatic improvements simply by improving hydration and sleep quality. The point is not that every solution works for every person. The point is that answers exist, and finding those answers starts with curiosity. Instead of asking, how do I get rid of this mucus? Start asking, why is my body producing this mucus? That one shift in thinking changes everything, because symptoms are rarely the enemy. Symptoms are information. They are clues. They are your body's attempt to communicate that something needs attention. The goal isn't to silence the message. The goal is to understand what the message is trying to tell you. And once you begin listening carefully, you often discover that your body has been giving you the answers all along. So tonight, before you go to bed, pay attention. Notice when your symptoms appear. Notice what makes them worse. Notice what makes them better. Pay attention to your meals, your hydration, your sleep, your medications, your breathing, your environment. The smallest observations often reveal the biggest answers. And remember this: persistent throat mucus may be common, but common does not mean normal. You deserve to understand what is happening inside your body. You deserve to breathe comfortably. You deserve to wake up without feeling like something is stuck in your throat. And with the right approach, many people discover that improvement is far more achievable than they ever imagined. As we come to the end of today's discussion, I want you to remember one simple thing. Your body is not working against you. It's working for you. Every symptom, every sensation, every little change you notice is your body's way of communicating. The mucus, the throat clearing, the irritation, these are not random events. They are signals pointing towards something that deserves your attention. The good news is that most of the causes we've talked about today are manageable. Small, consistent changes often produce results that people never thought were possible. Not overnight, not with miracle cures, but with patience, understanding, and the right habits. So don't get discouraged if you've been dealing with this for months or even years. Many people spend a long time searching for answers before they finally discover what's really driving their symptoms. Start with the basics. Stay hydrated. Pay attention to your meals, support your sleep, take care of your gut health, review your medications with your healthcare provider, and most importantly, listen to what your body has been trying to tell you. If there's one thing I'd like you to do after watching this, it's to stop guessing and start observing. The clues are already there. Your daily routine, your symptom patterns, and your body's responses can reveal far more than you might think. And remember, while persistent throat mucus is usually harmless, never ignore warning signs such as blood in the mucus, worsening difficulty swallowing, unexplained weight loss, a lump in the neck, or significant voice changes. If you notice any of these, seek medical attention promptly. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I truly appreciate every one of you who watches, comments, and shares your experiences. You're not alone in this, and there's a whole community of people learning and improving their health together. Before you go, let me know in the comments, which of the causes we discussed today sounds most like what you've been experiencing. I'd genuinely like to hear your story. If you found this information helpful, consider subscribing and sharing this video with someone who constantly clears their throat and may not realize there's a reason behind it. Take care of yourself, stay curious about your health, and I'll see you in the next video.